for a clever lift to get ready for the next maneuver. And fires with a double snap roll.
Number 601 in town, Roger. Across report vacated.
In this maneuver, the pilot will sustain 8 instantaneous Gs, which means that for a few seconds the weight will be multiplied by 8. Climb now vertically in front of us and split at the top. Listen to the leader voice. Watch now how number 4 keeps climbing and rolling before the slider nicks tail. And recovering in a dive before pivoting the aircraft at the minimum safety height to find itself 45 degrees up and perform a long sabbatical before leaving on our left. Now the three aircraft will look and half even to give the formation leader the opportunity to form back and leave on our left. We must point out here the high degree of difficulty induced by the maneuver for the leader, who flies inverted and has to keep his orientation to form back with the aircraft, who demands a special concentration from the pilot, because he is submitted to positive and negative G forces and must keep oriented at any time respect to the ground. Now the leads on the right to give way to the 4 aircraft formation split. Have your photo and video cameras ready to capture the instant of this break in which the 4 aircraft will cross in front of us, and listen the leader order to the execution of this spectacular maneuver.
Talking about the various training systems that the Air Force uses, well, the next display aircraft that we will actually be seeing is this really right at the beginning, the basic, the elementary training for the Royal Air Force. But first, I know Engine's got a couple of important messages, I think mainly to save people's car batteries.
Squawka 7004,
yes, indeed.
you can run in now, continue with that tower 256.6.
It's a VW Golf, registration number Golf 865, Victor Foxtrot Echo, and there's a Citroen, registration November Victor 55, Lima Hotel Oscar.
It's the other way around. That actually means the student finishes up flying the aircraft using the control column in his right hand and throttles in his left, which is the way you fly in a single-seat aeroplane. So it helps the orientation of what's going on. The sort of engine that they're using at the moment is a Textron Lycoming, 180 horsepower. That compares to the extra 300 that we've been seeing with a 300 horsepower engine. Flown today by Flight Lieutenant Andy Priest. He joined the Air Force back in 1991. Actually came from working for Pullman Cider, so great sacrifice that must have been. He's got a vast amount of experience. He was actually posted onto the Tornado, the ground attack version, which was then called a GR1. They've since been
2 or 3 minute
significantly
delay
updated, and they're called GR4s now, and served with 17 Squadron out in Germany, a place called Bruggen. Initially, he actually trained as a navigator, he cross-trained and retrained as a pilot. He's flown the GR1 Tornado, the Hawk, the Carno, and the Harrier. And interestingly enough, now back on the Grob Tutor, so he, with all of this experience, is able to sort of hand this on to his students. The Grob actually is quite a light aeroplane. It's constructed of carbon fibre reinforced plastic, so it's got quite a powerful engine, but it's very lightweight. Interestingly enough, for a little aeroplane, it's got a fairly advanced navigation suite on board. It's got a differential global positioning system, GPS. It's able able to simulate a full instrument landing system approach. Unfortunately, because of the system that's on board, you can actually choose a runway that hasn't got an instrument landing system, but still simulated as far as the student's concerned. A nice 4-point hesitation roll, so it leads this on the coordination that make sure that the aircraft maintains its height right the way along the manoeuvre, staying upside down, deploying out to the right. The top end of the speed range, about sort of 140, 150 miles an hour. That's plastic sort of finish the airplane's got. You can't just get a paintbrush and sort of whop on a nice colour scheme. It does have some limitations, and actually painting some of these surfaces is great. Ship formation in a formation as opposed to just landing close together. This is a full display formation coming into land as one. I've got to say that is impressive.
Rigid main rotor head. It's made of a single piece of solid titanium. Well, that means it's very flexible when it needs to be, but actually incredibly responsive, which helps us do these manoeuvres. The second aspect is the training. We've only got 2 people allowed to actually do these manoeuvres in the Army Air Corps because of the training required, and so it's a combination of both, the aircraft and the pilots themselves and the training they go through.
Again, just so we can all understand, because technically you do see even big helicopters. You can clearly see the in-flight refueling trains on the front, but all Hercules are capable of in-flight refueling. Again, the J will look different because it doesn't have to carry
into place now, and they're in either side of those doors, and out they come into free fall, into a little bit longer free fall than you saw yesterday. 120 miles an hour, and then deploying their parachutes. Well, they made it, ladies and gentlemen, made it with your help, with all that hot air that you're sending up in the air. Now, what we're going to see is 3 that are going to come down with the flags first, along with 7 others that will get into that famous stack of the Royal Air Force Vulcans. And as I said before, these are the only team in the world to perform this loose stack, that stacking one on top of one another and not actually getting too close to the parachute. Have to cut it away, and he wouldn't get bought any beer that night in the bar. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I thought there was going to be 3 flags, but they're now going for the 10-man stack. So right at the very top, you'll see the 3 new members of the team. The top of the stack is the hardest position to get into, and we put the newcomers right at the very top as a steep learning curve. No, I say that, but you've got to have experience go up the stack, because if Toby Goodchild, who's right at the very bottom of the stack, would have to cut away at all and go on to his reserve canopy, it would then be left to the next man in the stack, which would be Sergeant Gary Wotton, to actually take over as team leader to bring those into the drop zone. And then if he had a problem, it had go to John Keast from Plymouth in Devon, who's at the 3rd one in the stack. Now, you might say that there's one of them popped out the side. He's the cameraman, and he's actually filming the display as the team come in here at RAF Waddington. Ladies and gentlemen, they are showmen. So let's give them an absolute wonderful applause as they found that gap. They found the gap to come and give you this display. So ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together, give them a wonderful welcome here. And the first down, leading the team, is Flight Sergeant Toby Goodchild from Portsmouth in Hampshire. And it's his second tour of duty with the team. And there's Sergeant Gary Wootton from Weymouth in Dorset, Sergeant John Keith from Plymouth in Devon, Sergeant Mike Maguire from Saltburn in Cleveland, Sergeant Jimmy O'Brien in his first year. So ladies and gentlemen, what an absolutely wonderful display that was. Finding that gap. Gentlemen, I present to you the Royal Air Force Falcons of the year 2008.
Goodness, we managed to get a gap in the programme, because it's always a disappointment. I mean, everybody likes fast jet airplanes, but actually parachuting is, that's what you're looking at the moment, which is a Mark III. And basically it's about sort of 20 odd feet longer in the fuselage length, because the Hercules is such a sturdy, robust aircraft, and the Allison engines are so powerful that it can actually carry a lot more than the basic model could. So by stretching it, you actually get a lot more freight on board. The later models, the glass cockpit versions, C-130Js, they've got totally different engines. They've got quite sort of sexy looking five-bladed propellers, because they have a ship that goes right the way through the world upgrade, for a better description, fought an enemy and proved that they can defend themselves. Those of you who may have watched the 6-part series about the Royal Navy, really hard to defend itself. The leader of that pair is Spike Jefferson. He's an ex-Royal Air Force Defence, Science and Technology, and they operate out of Culdrose, the Royal Naval Air Station down in the southwest. Flying number 2 is Commander Simon Hargreaves. He's a full-time Falcon pilot for FR Aviation. He also flies a Hawk, and you've seen one of the other Falcons flying in towards each other for an opposition cross. Well, this time I've been joined up the commentary point by Flight Attendant Andy Norris.
And one of the great parts of the show is not only the speed and the raw power that the Typhoon has and the manoeuvrability. Once again, it's entering into the middle of its turn. Meeting in this manoeuvre. Turning in no more than just a couple of hundred metres, just a couple of football fields there.
Now I'm sure what you want. We don't need to cross. We just need to transit direct to the north to hold 2 miles north, then come back in again. Back out. Roger.
There, 2 are going to stall right and left, 2 are going to bump forward in the fountain. And that's Mars Blade 4 going in to join the team using an old air defence trick he learnt when he was in the Air Force. That's a lag pursuit roll. Now Blade 3 today is Andy Evans. Andy is the ambidextrous member of the team because he can fly on both the right and left hand side of the T. He was a first tourist flying instructor before spending 3 years with the Red Arrows and then going on to help the Saudi Arabia team do their aerobatics. They're called the Saudi Hawks. They're going to pull up and perform something called a long shebang. Watch this. So as Blades 2 and 3 recover from that, watch the inside 2, that's Blades 1 right and left in the stall turn. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if the Blades haven't got your attention just yet, this is one you are not going to want to miss. The team are about to prepare to defy the laws of aerodynamics. Ladies and gentlemen, look straight out ahead. As you can see, that's 2 aircraft now, Blades 2 and 3. Watch as they go left and right. Quick couple of hesitation rolls before snap rolling the aircraft back the other way. Now as Blades 2 and 3 pull back towards each other, I'd like you to bear in mind that it is Blade 3's job to fly directly at Blade 2 and Blade 2's job to miss him. This is the 2v2 cross. With a missed separation of only 20 feet, if that wasn't close enough for you, ladies and gentlemen, watch us do it again. today, ladies and gentlemen, as Mars keeps his smoke on. Watch as he pulls up for a move, which I'm 100% sure he made up himself. We call this the centrifuge. Cleared down to 30 feet, Mars is going to keep his smoke on and lead you out to blades 1, 2 and 3 who are running in from the right. As he gets close to them, he's going to pull up directly underneath them in the goose. Blade 1 is now called pull up for the final break. So if you enjoyed the display, please put your hands together for the blades.
Waddington Tower, Tango 09 on the cut and ready for taxi. Tower, good afternoon, hold. Moving. Good roll demo. Roll demo was ground. So how we're running, and the F3 is going to start with Juliet. Line up. Okay, that's running on time. I'm going to do that, he's slightly ahead, I'll update you as soon as I can.
Yeah, I was on there last time, interviewing one of the...
Once again, the Chinook is very vulnerable at this stage.
The Apache, of course, can provide intimate support to protect the Chinook, but it doesn't have to be co-located with it. One of the beauties of the 30mm cannon is to be able to shoot off-axis. Now the Apache is hiding behind...
Yeah. And in fact, if you look away to your left-hand side, on behalf of all my colleagues in the Armed Forces, I'd like to thank you for your ongoing support. It really does matter to us. We hope you take pride in what you have seen today.
Sky with sort of maybe a little bit too big, but basically puffy white clouds is down to the south, and that's basically where the weather's coming from. So fingers crossed, we've got away with what could have been an awful afternoon with just being a bit of a miserable afternoon. Fires. It was a lot easier to repair as well because the fuselage is covered with a canvas rather than metal. It was, say, very manoeuvrable, but in fact, even though it was a very stable gun platform, the actual sort of using of the two different types together proved to be really a huge success. As I said, it was never really developed the same way as Spitfire was, but it did, in later years, it was developed. Now the Hurricane specification 3634, and that was called the Supermarine Type 300. And the prototype was then matched with a newly developed Rolls-Royce engine called the Merlin, and it had 990 horsepower. The prototype Spitfire made its maiden flight from Eastleigh, Southampton. It was K5054. Maiden flight was on the 5th of March 1936. It was actually the largest order that had ever been placed with Supermarine, and they had to sort of farm things out to get the aircraft order. And by then there was a new factory being built up at Castle Bromwich by the Duckworth organisation. In that production, it basically doubled its power with the different engine over 2,000. Merlins on either side instead of a single Vulture on one side. And that's in the service as the Manchester Mark III, but they decided that it was so different that it would be renamed, so it became the Lancaster. There were 7,377 built. Amazingly, 3,349 were lost on operations, so that's 45% of Lancasters were lost on operations. 126,000 aircrew fought in the battle flying in the Lancaster, and of those nearly 60,000 regrettably were killed in action, and another 10,000 became prisoners of war. So Bomber Command suffered some fairly horrendous losses during the Second World War. That it was given.
Your time is going, you're not to Spain until 2 minutes past 4. base progress mission across the runway east to west, northern right. At this minute, we have one Vampire, one Merlin to display, and you're scheduled for 2 minute past 1600 display. Washington Town base walls crossing. Merlin. Across the runway, north right, east to west. Well, if you haven't got the Vampire ready, I'll just go final circle landing. Synchro 2 with a Lancaster in sight. Synchro 2, taxi, runway 20, QFE 989. Synchro 989. Synchro 2, on departure, are you going into the Alpha hold? Synchro 2 will be going crowd red to join with Synchro 1.
Well, whilst we've got a little gap for the next item,
Lancaster, taxi back.
just...
Was designated de Havilland 100. Between the two main wheels. So, as he sort of rolls gently down the runway, you can see 74 clearly on the nose, which makes it not technically correct as far as the painting's concerned. And just forward of the number you can see the red and black chevrons for 219 Squadron.
Taxi back to the parking place, Vampire.
For the mirror image of the manoeuvres the aircraft are going to fly. Now, of course, the argument in the bar is which one's slowing down to allow the other one to keep up and which one's slackening his turn to make sure he doesn't embarrass the other one. Come on, you know, we can argue this all day, certainly those two will. But again, if you look at it, they've actually managed to match that brake, they've matched that rate of turn, and they're coming back now, and if they've got it absolutely spot on, they will be crossing directly in front of us. I'm actually standing on the line where Dayton is, and that was pretty well spot on. So there we go. So far, so good. So both aircraft well there on the way up. Typhoon can certainly claim to be the noisier of the two, I think.
Waddington, all stations, thunderstorm level is now high.
Thunderstorm level is now high.
As it continue with Waddington Tower, 121.3. 091.3.
The aircraft that won it yesterday. That increases the power. This develops about 20,000 pounds first. The French have sold the aircraft too.
But it's also got a secondary purpose of anti-surface warfare. And then also being a large helicopter, it can do a multitude of secondary role tasks, everything from search and rescue to troop carrying and to any sort of B-echelon support work for the support helicopters as well.
Now, whenever a sort of a newish aircraft appears, everybody goes, oh, it's glass cockpit, and everybody goes, wow, I wonder what that means. And they talk about massive sort of command and control suite. But this was a massive leap in technology for the Navy, wasn't it?
It certainly is. I mean, it replaced the Mark 6 it works with 3 people on board. It's got 1 pilot, 1 observer and an air crewman, and to operate all those systems, everything from the ESM to the data link to the radar to the active dipping sonar and the passive dipping sonar, all done by those 3 guys. So it has to be a very ergonomically friendly aircraft.
I know in the military we were accused of using things. ESM, go on, give us a clue. What does ESM do?
Electronic surveillance measures. So it's an ability for the aircraft to sense if someone else is transmitting without them actually knowing that we're there. So we can detect other ships, other submarines, other aircraft passively.
Right. Now, I'm being sort of slightly serious when I said it was a leap in technology, but you quoted a whole number of systems, but it's not just those systems. I mean, the helicopter, the way it flies, everything is a generation on from the Sea King, isn't it?
It certainly is. It's the most advanced helicopter in the world at present. It's being sold all over the world as well. Everyone from the Portuguese, the Italian, the Canadians, and obviously ourselves, and indeed the American president.
For the British Grand Prix down to Silverstone, we flew through the weather front, we displayed in the weather front, we flew back through the bad weather, and now we look like we're going to pick up the bad weather for a 4th time here this afternoon.
Yes, thank God it's the summer. Okay, there, I said he was going to taxi past. You can see that actually it's a bit of a fast taxi.
And wow, look at that, Mike. History on the move.
Iconic, isn't it? Absolutely iconic.
I think Sean summed it up yesterday superbly with his very wise words about the effort that's gone into this, the teamwork required to get that Vulcan flying again. Superb to see it flying yesterday afternoon. A real privilege.
It's amazing actually when people think about the defence expenditure, and it's
decided for fairly obvious cost reasons that we didn't need more than 1 display team. And if we concentrate our assets on 1 display team, the Red Arrows was born in back then, 1965. Initially as a 7 ship with 2 spares, and 1969 went up to a 9 ship under the leadership of Ray Hanna. And certainly since 1965, since the Red Arrows first started displaying, completed over 4,100 displays, achieved our 4,000th display back in the end of 2006. We've travelled all over the world, 53 countries. Certainly in the last 6 months, personally, we've done, I've done 13 time zones, all the way out to the Far East, Malaysia, through India and the Middle East, and out west to the States, Canada and the United States.
And these sort of ships, presumably, are actually supporting UK PLC.
All this back down, 5, 6, and go. Out. Take off.
1,000 feet. Pilots now moving into Diamond 8 formation. On the left-hand side there is Red 3, Flight Attendant Mike Ling. We initially started in a rolling display, but the red arrows we can switch between our full and our flat at any stage during the display. Before it says the boss calls coming left now. A bit more about Red 3, he's the second of our new pilots, originally comes from the southeast. Inspired to join the Royal Air Force after seeing the red arrows at the Biggin Hill Air Show for where he lives. But to your left-hand side, a Diamond 8 formation for the Diamond 8 bend. Pilots now moving into Phoenix formation. A wonderful straight edge, the formation almost 200 feet apart. Worth remembering also that the pilots are all fast jet operational pilots. They've all come from the fast jet operational aircraft, Tornado, originally Jaguar and the Harrier. No Typhoon pilots yet, I'm sure that will change very soon. And we return to the fast jet operational squadrons after our 3 years on the Red Arrows, but to your left-hand side now with the red, white and blue for the Phoenix Bend. As the boss calls, reversing right now. These voice commands allow the pilots to anticipate the manoeuvres, keep the formation precise. Arrow roll. And the boss there now pulling up as we fly the Eagle quarter clover, the loop with a twist. The aircraft there slowing down to only 150 miles an hour. And the boss there, Red One, still able to fly the full pattern. The aircraft now speeding back up to 400 miles an hour for the Eagle Bend. The pilot's now moving into Lancaster formation. You'll have seen the Lancaster display earlier this afternoon. This is the Red Arrows version of it, and we put this in to commemorate the 90th anniversary of the Royal Air Force, which the Royal Air Force celebrated on the 1st of April this year. And the Red Arrows, we celebrated that by leading that combined formation of Typhoons over central London. So with the 4 aircraft simulating the 4 engines, let's remember the service of the Royal Air Force servicemen and women in the past 90 years. So to your right, the Lancaster roll. There, the aircraft now in kite formation, with Red One flying the tail of the kite, the pilots emerging through their own smoke now as they complete the kite bend.
Sheridan. Out. Rolling. Out. In. Smoke off. Left. In. Back. Back. Go. Stop.
Ladies and gentlemen, the flat split. 800 miles an hour. Just set up for the Jippo pass. Red 8 flying through the middle of that formation. He's unable to see Now to your left-hand side, in formation, Reds. Setting up now for the Vortex. And now he had the Vortex there with the red, white and blue. The horse there, red 6, the synchro leader there. And half of us there with the white smoke, and that Vortex manoeuvre was just red 9 disappearing in the distance to rejoin with the Enid formation. That's by Lieutenant Damien Ellicott. He's in his third and last year on the Red Arrows, a former Hawk instructor and Jaguar pilot. They left now, the synchro pair now. Set up now for the opposing barrel roll. The carousel. So Bennett and Pablo, the synchro pair, seemingly passing only feet apart, missing once, not twice, but 3 times. Starting the red, white and blue Python rolls. We originally put this manoeuvre into the display in 2007. Each year we try and put in new manoeuvres, and the chicane was a new manoeuvre for the 2008. This occurs during our long winter training between October and May. It takes a full 7 months before a Red Arrow's pilot, fresh from the front line, can call himself a Red Arrow. But here you see out to your left-hand side, the pilot's completing the Python roll with a white smoke. Control the colour of the smoke using buttons on the control column. Allowing rolling. And now red 6 and 7, mirror formation, red 9 flying the blue smoke around it. Red 9 calling for bleed, red 6 and 7 are rolling out from there. That's their calling, easing up, smoke off go. The aircraft that we fly, as you may already know, is the BAE Systems Hawk, powered by the Rolls-Royce Adair engine. A superb combination, British industry, engineering and design. Used in the Royal Air Force flying training system, it's the fast jet trainer and the most successful fast jet trainer in the world today. It's a beautiful aircraft to fly, but here in the hands of Red Arrows, as to your left-hand side with the red, white and blue, we complete the Helix bend. Set up now for the inverted mirror roll. The red 6 there, Front-End Pablo Grody, cool as a cucumber, flying -2.5 G and talking. Red 7 in mirror formation, red 9 on his left-hand side. Horse now for the Jippo break. Ladies and gentlemen, the Jippo break. Needs the support personnel whom, without their hard work all year round, this display would not be possible. But to your right and your left, pulling up from 100 feet, back down to 100 feet for the 4G double rolls, the synchro pair. Air Force and the very best of British. Let's have a big Waddington cheer for the 2008 Runners!